Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, a Seattle doctor has been suspended for sexting during surgery.
I'm Tony Kornheiser, and in my defense, I texted back to say he should not be doing that.
Okay, you know what? There's a lot of texting going on, but you know, if I'm under a knife, I might want to come out of it, wake up and smack somebody.
There were so many emojis that were sent to me. You know what an emoji is, Wilbon?
Yeah, I'm a Galaxy 4 guy, so I got emojis. They're little green people on Galaxy 4.
I just found that out about 20 seconds ago. I really like the sound of the word emoji. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Rangers are in trouble. The Lakers are waiting for LeBron, and an anti-Redskins commercial is set to air tonight. But we begin today with Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Over the years, the Finals have been tied 1-1 36 different times. And historically, the winner of Game 3 has gone on to win the championship 30 times. That's an 83% success rate. Now, last year, the Spurs won Game 3 but lost the series. So, Wilbon, will the winner of tonight's game win the title?
Why would I want to jump to that conclusion when you just said the winner of last year's Game 3 in a 1-1 series?
I said that.
Okay, so no, so I was here. I was there. I watched it. It happened right in front of me. This is not ancient history. We can go back to something just off, 1984, Lakers and Celtics, they had a similar situation where the Game 3 winner in a 1-1 did not win the series. Right. Lakers won Game 3, Celtics won the series. So, no, Tony, I think that these two teams are not separation. There's no separation between them, and I think you're going to see game after game like last year. I don't think a team can really win 2 games in a row, much less get a big lead. I think we're going to go down with a 2-2 series when we leave Miami going back to San Antonio.
Look at you, by the way, in that seersucker. That very Miami. You got a
South
boater?
Beach, baby.
Could you wear a boater? That would be great. One of those, like, straw hat boaters. Look, on Game 1, I believe that San Antonio had to win, because they risked losing all psychological confidence that they had built up over an entire season after losing late in the finals last year.
You got a proclamation for tonight?
I had no proclamation for 2. I got no proclamation for 3. I believe that Game 4 will be critical, because I believe that in this series, if somebody were to go up 3-1, it's over.
Yeah,
They're not going to win. They're not going to win 3 in a row. So for me, it's Game 4, not Game 3. That's the critical factor.
Tony, I'm fine with it. I just think this is so difficult. People make adjustments. But I will tell you the one thing that gives me a little pause about the Spurs right now. We have operated under the presumption, logically, the Spurs don't beat themselves. Yes, they do. They beat themselves in Game 6 in the finals last year and then lost the series in the championship. And they beat themselves in Game 2 in part. They missed 4 straight free throws. Parker and Duncan, they could have had a 6-point lead. That was a 2-point lead, and then a 1-point deficit when LeBron hit a subsequent 3. So the Spurs have been beating themselves. And if they do that, if they give an opening to the champions, they will lose. They will lose this series.
I don't think they beat themselves. I think LeBron James beats them.
4 straight free throws, LeBron have a hand in that?
I think he's the best player on the court, and they haven't figured him out yet. And if he plays 40 minutes, Miami has a chance to win every game.
But 4 straight free throws, how LeBron affect that?
LeBron James wins games.
How do you affect the free throws?
He doesn't necessarily affect it. He puts his team in position to win, and they win. And when he's off the court, they can't win.
Okay, if you hit some free throws, the other team can't win either. Donald Sterling just won't go away, Tony. In fact, after sounding a week ago like he was going to let this thing die with the sale of his Clippers, he now says he's going to stick with his billion-dollar lawsuit against the NBA. Word is that Sterling believed the sale of the team would negate the league's lifetime ban. But NBA Commissioner Adam Silver told reporters Sunday night the lifetime ban and the $2.5 million fine will stick. Tony, is there any chance that this is Sterling's way of negotiating and the league will ultimately drop this ban?
I think that the league has to ask itself, what is the goal here? Is the goal to get Donald Sterling out of a position of ownership with dispatch, which they appear to have done to this point? Or is the goal to ban him from every arena in the league so he can't even buy a ticket? I mean, I think what you risk, this was done so well to this point, what you risk is taking a giant step backwards, tying yourself up in court for months, maybe years. I'm not sure about that. And losing the momentum that you had, it seemed like you were going to get this done. And if the compromise, Mike, if the compromise is to let him into a game, not necessarily in a front row seat, I mean, is the symbolism of kicking him out more important than actually getting him out of ownership? What do you think?
Well, Tony, I think, Donald Sterling is not going to What was he going to do? Drive over to the Lakers and like buy a seat, and want to sit there? I don't
know.
see that happening. So I agree with you. The point is to get this guy out of ownership.
That's what I thought.
But Tony, the lifetime ban was important at the time, and then events overtake that. Events have overtaken it. The event being the sale of the team. Now, it's interesting, though, that Shelley Sterling apparently, if you believe the reporting, has negotiated a situation where she gets, floor seats. Now, you can't have Donald Sterling getting one of those floor seats.
You don't, because the symbolism of that is too great. You don't want the guy on the floor.
You don't.
But if I understood correctly when I watched his lawyer on the Today program this morning, what the NBA wouldn't want is deposing all the owners about all the things that they have ever said and done. If they can reach a compromise and get him out as an owner.
I know Sterling likes to threaten that, Tony, but how about, the discovery part of that would hurt Donald Sterling, I'm betting, more than any other owner in the league, more than all the other owners put together.
I don't know how much. He's been hurt. I don't know how much more there is. Nobody likes him to begin with. The Los Angeles Kings went into Madison Square Garden last night, played their best game of the Stanley Cup final, and they won 3-0. They put only 15 shots on Henrik Lundqvist, but 3 went in. Jonathan Quick had been shaky against Chicago, was impenetrable against the Rangers. The series now stands at 3-0. Now, Wilbon, before you declare it over, remember that the Kings were down 3-0 against San Jose just a month ago. Now, do you want to declare this series over?
Yes. The Kings were down 3-0 and came back, not the Rangers.
Right.
The Kings, the better team, and they are clearly better. And we knew this going in, Tony, into the finals, that the Stanley Cup finals, essentially the two best teams, were playing in the Western Conference Finals a couple of weeks ago. And the Rangers the Rangers lost a game last night on 3 deflected goals. I think the Rangers, Tony, have had the better of the play. Last night was maybe 50-50.
So why can't they come back?
Because, Tony, it's scoring goals. It's not who has the better of the play. I mean, the Blackhawks might have had the better of the play in a couple of those games, and they lost to the Kings, including Game 7. So the Kings know how to do this. They score these timely goals. It just seems to be, Tony, their time.
I think what the Kings have proven is they can beat you short and beat you long. They can go into overtime at home down 2-0, and they can win these games. They can go into the Garden in regulation and win these games. So I think it's about over. Now, if you're the Rangers, what you would say to yourself is, look, those guys were down 3-0, and they won, so we can win. But if you're the Kings, what you say is, hey, we were down, so we got to step on them because we know this can be done.
Tony, what was nearly as fascinating to me as last night's game was the postgame and all of the interviews with all of the Kings players and coaches. And their entire focus was, we've been here. We're not letting this happen. We know they can do this. We're not having any part of it. I think their powers of
concentration will be heightened because they've done this.
Because you've done it. That's right. Tony, let's go back to basketball in Los Angeles for a second, specifically the Lakers' drip, drip, drip of a coaching search. USA Today says one reason the Lakers are dragging their feet is that the club wants to wait to see if potential free agents LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony might be tempted to put on the purple and gold next year if they have some say in who the new coach is. Tone, reasonable strategy?
Let me tell you something. This has the whiff of decay and desperation to it.
Decay.
This is an idea that sounds really good at 3 a.m, and at 4 p.m, it is a terrible idea. And I'll just sketch out a scenario for it. Let's not even deal with LeBron. Let's just say Carmelo Anthony says, I might like to come there, but I want to have a say in picking the coach. And they get somebody who satisfies Carmelo Anthony, and then Kobe says, I'm not playing for that guy.
Right.
I mean, Kobe Bryant's more important historically than Carmelo Anthony. This is just not a good idea. And you know what, Mike? The Lakers are an A franchise. And this does not become them. This does not.
It does. I started thinking the word pandering came to mind. And it's not to say, of course, you're interested in LeBron James or Carmelo Anthony. God knows both.
Sure.
Of course you are. You're the Lakers. This is how you do your deal. You go out and you draft wisely and you do some things like draft Magic Johnson and James Worthy and Jerry West. But you also acquire people like Shaquille O'Neal and let's go back to Wilt. So going out and getting proven players is a big part of what the Lakers do.
You don't give them this.
But you're not going to say, no, you can name your own coach.
Let's look at some of the people. Let's look at who is reported that they've interviewed. Kurt Rambis, Byron Scott, Lionel Hollins, Mike Dunleavy, George Karl, Alvin Gentry.
These
George
are
Karl would jump
professional
out
coaches.
to me. George Karl was in the playoffs 22 times. I'm just asking, were the Lakers in the playoffs this year? Were they? Because I don't think they were.
Well,
Lionel Hollins.
Lionel Hollins in the conference finals last year.
What's wrong with those people?
Nothing. Well, and so you get a coach, and then you try to get people on board. The coach has got to be able to, coach those men. And I don't believe Carmelo and LeBron, I don't believe their egos are that run amok where they have to sort of name the coach.
At halftime of the NBA game tonight, a 2-minute advertisement paid for by a California Indian tribe will run. It is specifically designed to persuade you against the Washington Redskins nickname, and here is some of that ad.
Seminole, Seneca, Mohawk, and Creek. Mills, Will Rogers, Geronimo. Unyielding, strong, indomitable. Native Americans call themselves many things. The one thing they don't.
Wilbon, what kind of impact do you think this ad will have on the movement to change the nickname?
Tony, I'd like to think that people watching will have the same impact that the same feeling that I had when I saw this. I found it powerful. It also made me realize how rarely we see the full range of Native American experiences and life in mass media in our day-to-day lives in this country. I think it's going to have a powerful impact in terms of just what people feel when they see this. But does that mean that the NFL is going to sort of all of a sudden have the same reaction and they're going to react in kind? I don't know that I want to jump to that conclusion. Yeah. But public opinion, Tony, public opinion and then public pressure is perhaps the way they're counting on going with this, which has been a local issue, not a national issue, for more than 30 years.
You and I both agree that the rightful conclusion to this is to change the nickname, and it's a question of when that's going to happen. I think little by little, incrementally, a lot of things have helped. There have been organized protests that have helped. There was a letter from 49 senators just the other day, congressional pressure, that's helped. There's all sorts of demonstrations that help. This, to me, is bigger than anything else so far, just because of the visual impact and the persuasiveness of it.
But is it a game changer, Tom?
It comes close to me. Now, the thing there's a couple of things I don't know. I don't know, for example, if there's polling on the passion of American Indians to change the name, some definitive poll. I don't know about that. I've always thought that the league was going to wait and see if there was an economic impact before they moved, not a social impact. In terms of social impact, this feels like a momentum changer to me.
It does, Tony. Now, it's also only going to be seen in 7 cities, big cities, but 7 cities. It's going to be interesting to see if there's momentum to make it larger than that, and if that public pressure comes to bear.
If you paid for it in one game, you can probably pay for it in some more games. Yep. They're all sports fans. That's the audience they want to reach. Let's take a break, but coming up, what can the Spurs do to slow down LeBron tonight? We will ask John Barry.
And later, the Cleveland Browns turned down Hard Knocks.
Wonder why they did that. Johnny Manziel.
The next big thing, the next new kid, the next overnight sensation, the next rookie, one to watch, the next Hall of Famer, the next intimidator, the next 6-time, the next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Michigan, Saturday at 1:30 Eastern on ESPN.
If there's one thing this show could use more of, it's a third bald guy with facial hair. We welcome the unusually beardy John Barry to the show, and we start with this. What do you expect Pop to do to counter LeBron tonight?
I don't know. He might ask you the same question since LeBron did basically anything he wanted to do in Game 2. In the first half, it was everything to the rim. And typically, San Antonio's played him the same way. They sagged off of him and dared him to shoot jump shots. He evidently didn't feel like he wanted to, took everything to the rim. And then the second half, he took no shots in the paint, made contested tough shots, really bailed out his team. I thought they didn't move the ball very well at all. But as Eric Spoelstra calls him, the end of possession weapon, LeBron James delivered. I'm waiting for Greg Popovich to have his press conference and pull a Steve Coburn, the California Chrome owner, and just say, it's not fair. LeBron's playing against fifth graders. He's too big.
One of the guys he's playing against, though, JB, is a Spurs rising star, Kawhi Leonard. But Leonard has just not been anywhere close to the form that he was in last year's finals. Pop can't go away from Kawhi Leonard, can he? Isn't he limited in terms of options? And do you think Kawhi Leonard can break out of this?
Well, it's fine. I talked to Charles Barkley last night. I won't tell you where I was, but we talked about Kawhi Leonard. And the fact of the matter is I think he looks a little bit fatigued. You think about running around and chasing Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook for 2 weeks in the Western Conference Finals, and now you get LeBron James. He's had a little bit of foul trouble, so he's been out of rhythm. But when he's had opportunities to do things, I mean, he's taken runners that haven't drawn any iron. He's been way off, made a couple late threes in both games, but he's totally been a non-factor. I think scoreless in both first halves and scored late. But, yeah, I think they do need him, particularly with the way Miami's playing this team. They're shutting him out of the paint. Kawhi Leonard may be one guy that you can go to in the post and try some new options. They got to get some easier shots than they did in that fourth quarter of Game 2.
JB, I want to go back to San Antonio for a second, and something that we've always presumed about them, because they've proven it, you know, the notion that the Spurs don't beat themselves, you have to beat them. Well, they beat themselves to a degree in Game 6. At least I'm making that case last year. Tony doesn't agree with me. And then 2 nights ago, they missed 4 foul shots that could have put them up 6 late in the game. Instead, they keep a 2-point lead they can't hang on to. Are we at a point now where Greg Popovich has to be concerned about his team sort of self-destructing?
Well, you're right. I think they have given away a couple games. You go back to Game 6, and you go into Greg Popovich's office in San Antonio and says, don't be in a hurry to win. Win in 48 minutes. Trust the system. And playing against these guys for that many years, that's what everybody will tell you. They never deviate from their system. They do the same thing. And I think they got away from their system. It was one-on-one basketball. They didn't get into the paint. They took tough shots. That fourth quarter was as bad as I've seen the Spurs play in a long time. So they do have to get back to that. They have to find a way to crack this Miami defense. I think Miami's playing them a lot like Dallas played them in the first round, playing San Antonio, that 7-game series. They have same-size guys. They're just switching that pick and roll. And you can't play east-west. You have to play north-south. And they can't settle for Manu Ginobili trying to go one-on-one and take long shots, or Tony Parker. They have to get in the paint. That's what creates great San Antonio shots and great San Antonio offense, and we certainly didn't see it in Game 2.
We will get you out of here on this. What do you see happening tonight?
You know, I really don't know. I think there's going to be some adjustments from San Antonio on the pick and roll if they're going to switch Miami, if they're going to put LeBron on Tony Parker. I think they have to get the ball to Tim Duncan. He's been sensational in the first halves of these games. 5 of 6 in Game 2. I think he was 7 of 8 in Game 1. I think maybe just straight direct post to Tim Duncan. Let him do his thing. He looks terrific. I know he's still steamed about last year, and he's very, very motivated. He looks great. I'm going to say that San Antonio finds a way to get this thing done tonight.
Woo! Thank you for joining us, John.
Thank you, JB. See you in a minute.
The beard will be gone. The Rangers, come on.
Playoff beard? Playoff Ranger beard, huh? Yeah, that's out of here soon. We're taking a break. When we come back, Manny Machado gets suspended for throwing that bat.
Of course he should. Plus, Lonnie Baseball goes off.
I guess
Whoever came up with that nickname, really, stop. Just
I
stop
guess
it
they
in
didn't
Cleveland.
think that Machado, they didn't believe him when he said it just slipped.
Yeah, did you believe him?
No, I didn't.
No, nobody believed him because he was lying.
Right.
Yeah.
Happy time, people. Happy 32nd birthday, Tara Lipinski. Who knew that Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir would become television's new fun and fashion couple? Often it's hard to tell who's dressed more outrageously, but they've done the Winter Olympics and the Oscar red carpet and the Kentucky Derby fashion parade, and it has been nothing but grins.
I can't grin because I've never seen them. I mean, are they just like figure skating pairs? Is it that outrageous?
No, they're just wonderful. They have great chemistry. Honestly,
Never seen them.
They're wonderful. Got no TV in your building? Happy anniversary, Joe Nuxhall.
I got a clicker, too.
On this day 70 years ago, at the age of 15, Nuxhall pitched 2/3 of an inning for the Cincinnati Reds, becoming the youngest player in the history of Major League Baseball. Afterwards, Nuxhall said, quote, I was pitching against 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. All of a sudden, I look up, there's Stan Musial. It's a very scary situation.
That's like the greatest quote in the history of baseball. He was 6'2", 190 as a 9th grader, but he came back, Tony, to have a pretty good career.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. A melancholy happy trails to Bob Welch. The former Cy Young Award winner for the A's and ace of the Dodgers died today of a heart attack at age 57. Welch won 211 games, lost only 146, and his 27 victories in his Cy Young season made him the only pitcher since 1980 to have as many as 25 victories. Welch chronicled his battle with alcoholism in his autobiography entitled 5 O'Clock Comes Early.
Tony couldn't help but feel sad, really, for Welch in his later years, but he had some career going there, and you wonder, what his career might have been like otherwise.
Big-time strikeout pitcher, big time. Time to find out we messed up, Riali.
Big-time strikeout. And then 27 wins just jumps off the screen. Nobody's doing that anymore. You're right about that, TK. Your national starter, I just saw this stat. I haven't walked a batter. The starters. In the last week of action, no walks. Back to you guys.
They're getting ready. They're taking off.
Here we
boom,
go.
boom.
Another Nationals
big finish. Here we go.
Let's do
Manny
it.
Machado suspended 5 games. Beat down man. Is that fair?
He's going to appeal, apparently. I'd go 10 games, Tony. I said that yesterday. Lonnie Chisadol went 5 for 5, 3 home runs, 9 ribbies. Breakthrough season for him?
Well, he's got limited at-bats. He's 161 at-bats, but he's batting .385. And it sounds like a breakthrough, doesn't it? The Cavaliers will interview Mark Price for their coaching opening. Is that a good fit?
Tony, he's been an assistant coach now for 7 years in the league, 5 different teams, and he is a hero in Cleveland. Might be a great fit. The Browns passed on HBO's Hard Knocks. Is that a smart move?
It's a smart move if you're afraid that Johnny Manziel is going to become larger than life, larger than a first-year coach, and larger than an owner. Yeah,
Don't do it. It's a smart move. Get out
Last
of here.
one, Jurgen Klinsmann watched as Ghana beat South Africa 4-0. What did he learn?
Uh-oh. That's what he learned. Isn't Ghana the team that we're supposed to really need to beat in group? A little scary.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Check out the PTI podcast on iTunes.
Rashima Melson, shout out. Valedictorian at Anacostia High School. Good for you.
PTI. The next big thing. The next new kid. The next overnight sensation. The next rookie. One to watch. The next Hall of Famer. The next intimidator. The next 6-time. The next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Michigan. Saturday at 1:30 Eastern on ESPN.